This is Todd here with Patriot Defense, and I just kind of wanted to bring to light a little article that I found that was kind of disturbing to me. It came out of, let me look here. It came out of a little town in Texas called Rising Star. So Rising Star, Texas, there was an article that came out about a school superintendent who said that a third grader found a firearm in the bathroom, one that had been left there for 15 minutes by him. Here's some audio.
A third grader in Rising Star made a shocking discovery when he went to the school restroom. A gun left by Superintendent Robbie Studeville back in January. Studeville confirming that the third grader found the gun at Rising Star Elementary and notified a teacher without moving or touching it. Studeville explained to KRBC that both he and the school principal open carry on campus. He explained that he was using the restroom and took the gun off and placed it in a stall. He went on to explain that it was left there unattended for around 15 minutes until the student found it. Here's what he had to say about the incident.
This is one of those examples that guns in school, regardless of who takes care of them, are considered a considerable danger. And one should school all of their children to be on the lookout for any kind of unusual or placement of weapon or any other kind of thing that's out of place.
There's three things in this article that I find a little disturbing, or in the story that I find a little disturbing. And it's the fact that here we do. You know, I read this article and I played the audio, but here we have the situation in this school where you do have two teachers carrying. I believe it's the principal or the vice principal and the superintendent. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. By all means, I think there should be firearms in school, but I think that it should come with training. And it is obvious by some things that I'm going to point out that these two probably haven't had much in the way of training. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I have not looked into their backgrounds. I don't know all the ins and the outs, but let's discuss this. Let's break this down for a few minutes. First of all, the two people that are allowed to carry in the school were doing what? They were open carrying. I think that if you're going to carry in school, I think that's probably a pretty poor choice. I think the kids, now granted, this is going to be an elementary school, but I think the kids need to not know who is carrying a firearm. I think it needs to be done correctly. It needs to be done responsibly, and it needs to be done concealed. And I think that for a few reasons, right? What if a child were to get a gun? What if the gun were to come out of the holster? What kind of retention levels of retention were on these open carry holsters? We have no idea. I'm assuming not very much because of the whole back in just a second. But I do believe that there was a lot of mistakes made here. I think that if you're going to carry a firearm in school, you should get some training. And I believe that there was a lack in training amongst the people that were carrying the firearms, as well as with the teachers. Here you have the school superintendent who goes and uses the bathroom. Now, this is a basic skill that I talk about all the time in any of my concealed carry permit classes, right? If you're going to use the restroom and you're going to carry responsibly, your firearm should be in a proper holster. One that does not, one that's going to protect the gun, protect the holster. One that does not require you to remove said gun from the holster while using the restroom. Proper retention, proper holster, proper gun belt, right? All this makes it so you can use the bathroom no matter what you're doing in there without having to remove the gun. This superintendent used the bathroom. He then took his gun off and he left it in the stall. He left it in the bathroom for 15 minutes. In fact, he didn't even notice that he didn't have his firearm. That's neglect right there. That's very neglectful, right? Get some training. I'm all for firearms in school, but get some training. And then after about 15 minutes, a third grader who I'm going to assume probably had a little bit more training than the superintendent, because the third grader did not pick the gun up. Kudos to his parents. saw it and then left it there and went back and reported to a teacher. Now, what you didn't hear in there, what is actually in an article that I actually posted on the Patriot Defense Facebook page, said that the teacher then got another student and sent another student to the bathroom to check to make sure there really was a firearm there. Are you kidding me? Really? You're going to send another student that was unaccompanied down there to check to see if there was actually a firearm there? Man, call someone in charge, call the police, do something, right? Do something. Don't send another student down there. That in itself is alarming. And then on top of it, there's nothing, there was no shooter on campus or anything like that, but then they didn't actually report this to the authorities. And the parents didn't find out about this. And that's what is upsetting about this at all. But then if you think back to the audio clip, and I'm not going to play it again for you, but I will read it. Where does it say? It's the guy that left the gun, this Stutesville, is that his name? Where is it at here? Yes, Stuteville. He said, this is one of those examples of guns in schools. Regardless of who takes responsibility, they are a considerable danger, and one should school their children and be on the lookout for any unusual placement of a weapon or anything out of place. True, I agree. Your kids should point out anything unusual that they see that is out of place. And guess what? In this scenario, that's exactly what the student did. But when this guy gives his interview and he makes his statement, he fails to point out that he is the problem. The guy carrying the gun is the problem. I'm going to tell you right now, if you can get your school to allow firearms, if you can allow your teachers to carry, if you can allow your superintendents to carry firearms in the school, absolutely fantastic, do it. But I tell you what, let's require some kind of training. Let's get some kind of training. Sounds to me like the very basic training that you would need to carry a firearm anywhere, let alone in a school, was missing. The person carrying the gun was not responsible. I don't know if he felt like Billy Badass carrying a gun at school because he could, but he made a huge mistake. One that could have been drastic, one that could have been fatal. And if a child would have picked up that firearm and would have pulled that trigger and would have harmed himself or others, granted, the child is the one that pressed the trigger, but that gun never would have been there if this guy would have been responsible with it and would have carried it responsibly and taken the time to seek out a little education, seek out a little training. And now here you go. He's trying to avoid it all by not once saying he made a mistake. He's saying, I'm so glad the kids have been trained. And this is a fine example that the kids need to be trained to report something when they see it. Yeah, the kid did a great job, but sir, you dropped the ball. Sir, you are the problem. Do better.